Today I'm hanging out with artist Rachel Burns, also known as Human-Shaped Animal, in her experimental art space, Trellis.
Yeah.
That's what it goes by?
Yes, it does.
In Santa Cruz, California, her artwork includes plants, digital fabrication, with blooming colors that frame the natural world. Her murals can be found in Santa Cruz, Sunnyvale, and Brazil.
Yes.
And we'll be talking about that in a second. Welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. Welcome. Welcome.
We've been talking for like 40 minutes so far, but we'll...
we'll fill you in.
Yeah. All right. So back when I started the podcast, I was asking my friends to see who I should have on the show. Mm-hmm. And Julian English, our mutual friend, I think you two seem like sisters.
Yeah, she's great.
She mentioned that you had just gotten back from Brazil. And so I was like kind of looking around and I was like, oh, that sounds awesome. And she said, you're also an amazing artist. But so I was kind of checking around for videos on your Instagram, and I saw one where you're on a porch and there's a kid holding a hula hoop and you're holding a hula hoop and you back up and you guys both do a synchronized dance or a flow, right? And it was like a minute or so, something like that. And it looked like a very wholesome moment.
It was so wholesome. Oh my goodness.
So that's just painting the picture for you. What was happening? You were in Brazil. You were in the Amazon.
I was in the Amazon.
Let's talk about it.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about it. So I was in the Amazon for 2 months. And my heart just like cramps just thinking about it. But so I'll back up to how I got there. It was kind of a random series of things that I just said yes to. Because as soon as the opportunity arose, I just like felt it in my soul that I had to do it. So basically, this guy had been following my art on Instagram and wanted to commission a piece from me. So I checked him out and I saw that he did these retreats in the Amazon. There's like yoga / indigenous immersion / adventure retreats. And I was like, ooh, okay. So I posed that we could do a trade, like whatever he was putting towards the piece, we just put that towards the retreat. And then that started to expand more. We talked on the phone, he seemed rad. And he was like, you could stay in the Amazon longer if you want, rather than just like the 10 days that the retreat is. Because it was on a family's property. It wasn't like a retreat center. And this was only the second year that he was having it. So it was all very new and like, not like, it was very authentic as well. And so, yeah, and then that expanded into doing a trade with the family. So I did a mural on their property to be able to stay and be fed for 2 months. Well, actually it was supposed to be like 5 weeks, but then I didn't want to leave. So naturally.
Makes sense.
So I just said yes, and like leading up to it, I just like felt like it was going to be a huge pivotal time in my life. So just like I turned 30 this past year, and I was just like, yeah, I want to go do this crazy adventure. And I met him maybe 3 weeks before I actually like went to Brazil. And I was like, okay, yeah. So,
and it went well.
Yeah, I was like, well, I'm gonna spend the next 2 months with you, so hopefully you're not super annoying. And yeah, I went there.
And it wasn't.
And he wasn't, yeah, and it was totally rad. And
the most you can ask for.
Yeah, and the family I fell in love with the family. I fell in love with everything. There was like one point where I was like, I'm just going to abandon my whole life in Santa Cruz and live in the Amazon for the rest of my life. And then slowly I like came to my senses and I was like, oh wait, no, like,
You're like
I've got some stuff I need to do.
Yeah, I got a few things I need to do. What was the family's name? Like what were they like? What was it like?
So so Vanessa, she was my host mama, and she had 3 kids, and they were the most spectacular humans in the world. There was a girl who was 15, Kenna, and then 2 boys who were 19 and 20, Jo and Kenan. And Yeah, so Vanessa was actually from Venezuela, and her mother, Estrella, who also lived on the property, she's like 70, who, side note, got to give her her first tattoo, which was epic. And
At 70.
yeah, I guess she always wanted one, and like I was doing stick and pokes, and she was like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and she's like, yeah, so amazing. And yeah, and then Vanessa's husband, Leo, actually they're separated, but he still lives on the property in his own little like bungalow in the jungle. So they do ecotourism, which they bring people to their property, which is just gorgeous. And they try to give, or they do give, authentic experiences to basically allow people to build a relationship with the jungle and the people that are there. So then they like want to help save it. Yeah.
Hopefully, that's the idea.
Hopefully that's the gist. But yeah, and yeah, Leo, the father, like it started off with Leo and Vanessa fell in love, and then they were looking for property, and they found it, and then Leo actually is a photographer. He's from Italy. He's French-Italian, was a sailor, made his way over. And he did this whole project for 2 years of just photographing orchids in the Amazon jungle. And because of that, they learned how to tree climb. And so then they turned the tree climbing into the ecotourism, and then that's how it blossomed onto their property. And then on top of that, Vanessa is working with indigenous communities of the Amazon. So like mostly the Yanomami people and the Vanuatu people. And like the Yanomami people have only been in contact with white people, meaning anyone that's not of their tribe, in like the 50s. So there's like something like 20,000 living in the Amazon jungle, like still.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, yeah, she's been building relationships with them in order to bring people in, like, on their own terms of ecotourism. So, one, they get to share their story their way, and then two, it gives them, some more of like an income. That way they don't have to rely on the Brazilian government as much, because the Brazilian government is trying to steal their land and the gold miners, and it's like a whole big mess. So yeah, it was quite the experience.
Incredible.
Just to like be among these humans that are just doing so much, and then just being in the Amazon itself has this like potent energy to it. Like it's like I've been painting these plants that I like are just flourishing in the Amazon in front of me, and I'm just like, and like everything just expresses itself so colorfully, and like all the insects are like this big and like, super bright. Everything's just like got really creative with the way that it wanted to like be an expression, and it's all on top of each other and all like.
It's a great way to put it.
Yeah, and
they just really found themselves.
Yeah, they just felt very free to like be big and loud. And then it was rad because since they live on, I don't know exactly how many acres of the Amazon they live on, but it's like it would take you like a week or so to get across all of their stuff. And you need to have someone in the rainforest. Like they have an indigenous guide that comes and takes people through the rainforest, because it's like, anything can just kill you out there. There's jaguars on their property, and like,
That's rad.
Yeah.
What'd you see? Anything? I mean, we were talking about some of the bugs, but
lots of
anything
bugs.
Cool, any cool stories?
Lots of monkeys, howler monkeys. All the birds are amazing. Toucans, parrots, macaws. There was this wild macaw that would just come and hang out at our. We would go to this one property, which it felt like going to your grandparents' house, because it was part of their ecotourism, where you could go there and you can spend some time with them, and they take you fishing. They caught piranha. We'd cook it up that night. We ate capoeira, that weird big hamster thingy.
Yeah.
which I didn't realize they lived in the Amazon. That was
You just blew my mind. I thought that was like Australia or something.
yeah, like I do not pick. They don't seem like they fit in the Amazon. They don't seem like majestic enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, we ate that. I didn't get to see one.
You did,
swam with some pink dolphins. That was pretty rad. Oh, saw a sloth swimming.
Wait, back. Pink dolphins.
Pink dolphins.
Is that like in the river or?
Yes. Yeah, they're super friendly. I guess like there's this like whole thing where pregnant women would go and hang out, and the pink dolphins would like something about them. They were like they sensed pregnant women, and it'd be like a blessing. And they come and hang out.
Hang out with the pink
dolphins. Just like bless your unborn child.
Pregnant ladies and pink dolphins.
Yeah, they're buds.
Okay, you saw sloth.
Yes, a sloth. I was swimming. Some type of alligators, which they were not alligators, but they were enough. Our indigenous guide just swooped it out of the water in the middle of the night. And
Check it out.
It was, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Holy shit.
Giant tortoise of some sort.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, I think that's, I think
that was quite the list.
Yeah, I'll check it off.
So you did 2 murals out there.
Just one.
Just one.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the
trade.
That's rad. And what was it?
So it was of a couple indigenous people, which she had relationships with. So there was a chief from the Yanomami people, and then there was like the shaman, Page, of the Banuio people, him and his brother, and then some women that I forget exactly what tribes they were from, but that they knew of. And so yeah, it's like this like portal type situation, and they're all kind of framing it with different plants and animals and such from the Amazon, which actually were all taken photos that they had taken, either her or Leo, or her ex-husband. Yeah, and it's just kind of this magical, just like gatekeepers to this like Amazon energy.
That sounds so cool.
Yes.
I want to go.
You should.
I don't know how somebody just goes about doing that, but
You can. You can go to the property. When anyone wants to go to the property, let me know. Tell them I see you're gonna come, and they'll take care of you. Yeah, for
also
sure.
some pink dolphins. Juxtapose that to where are you from?
I'm from Mars, Pennsylvania.
Hey, really?
Yeah.
Oh. That was good.
I like to do the dramatic pause in between. Yeah, Mars, Pennsylvania, home of the Fighting Planets. That was my high school.
The Fighting Planets?
The Fighting Planets, yeah.
That's a good name.
Yeah. Though our emblem was actually of Saturn. It had like a ring around it, and I was like, Mars doesn't have a ring around it, but I guess that was our emblem.
Whatever.
But anyway, so that's 40 minutes outside of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Pretty rural.
How was it like growing up there?
What I loved about it was like the property that I was on. I was like on 3 acres, so there was woods and everything. So I very much grew up like, running around in the woods and being outside and whatnot. But other than that, there's not much going on.
That's it?
That's about it. So I feel like that probably aided to my creativity in some way. Just like, entertain yourself.
Did you want to get out?
Did I want to get out of Mars?
Yeah. Yes. Stop saying
Just throw you off every time. Yeah. Pennsylvania, like never. I mean, I have such a special place in my heart for Pennsylvania, but it's not like my soil to bloom in.
What was your family like?
My family's pretty rad.
Yeah.
My siblings, me and my siblings are super close. My brother is also a creative, and he's just like living his best life. He's a ghostwriter and a producer and a musician, and he lives in London.
Whoa.
And then my sister's rad. She's like such a traveler and adventurer. She's had like every job under the sun. She's just like someone that can talk her way into like any job position, and she's super capable of anything. And she's in Vegas. But actually, she comes here a lot because like a flight to Vegas is like $40 round trip. It's great.
Yeah, it's not that far.
Yeah, it's not that far. Yeah, and then my parents they've always been like super supportive of whatever me and my siblings like, all of us kind of live unconventional lifestyles, and they're just like,
When did you,
doing it.
what's like the age range between you and your siblings? Are they?
My sister's 4 years older than me, and my brother's 2.5 years younger.
Okay, so pretty similar age range.
Yeah.
When did you, I don't know, any stories about growing up, or what kind of kid were you? How was it going to school there? Were you guys kind of the odd ones out in the group?
Growing up, I was definitely like super shy for a good amount of my life.
Really?
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah. Slowly worked my way out of it.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, growing up in Mars was just like, I don't know, it's kind of like a redneck area, kind of just like a little cookie cutter in places that's not super rural. Yeah, I think, I don't know.
Doesn't sound like it was a rough one.
No, it was whatever.
You're just like, okay.
It was just like,
Some other stuff.
Yeah.
So where'd you go to college?
I went to college in Bloomsburg University, which is also in Pennsylvania, about like 4 hours the other direction, which it also is kind of just like a kind of place. Like I went to art school, though Bloomsburg is like a state school.
Did you get like a degree or? Like
Yeah,
trade
so I
school?
have a degree in painting and digital art, which is just like, yeah.
Painting with a computer.
Yeah. And so, I kind of like stumbled into it because I didn't mean to go to art school, even though I wouldn't really call Bloomsburg University art school. They had an art program.
Yeah, you were out of school with that.
Yes.
Okay.
But so I actually originally went to school for early childhood education. I didn't even last semester. I was just like, I don't know what I was thinking, because being with children for that many hours a day, every day, my soul would deteriorate. And so I had been interested in art forever. And so I took just like an art class as a general education class. And I was like, you know what, this is the only thing that I actually like am going to pay 100% attention to and actually care about. Even though, like, coming from Pennsylvania, like, there's no one encourages you to get an art degree. Like, that's like...
No.
Yeah, no, that's just like...
Wait, back up. So you were painting before, though?
I was, before I entered art school.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I got into painting in high school.
Okay.
Yeah, more so the last, like, 2 years. But I always liked art class and was always doing some type of artsy thing.
And then, I actually had a job to be a music teacher out of school. Did all the training. First day of school, I was like, with the kids there, I was like,
nope.
No way. I called the
slowly
principal,
back
I'm like,
up.
I am so sorry. You got the wrong guy.
I can't. I know, that's the thing. When I did an art degree, I was like, well, I guess the only thing there is to do is to teach art.
Yep.
And I was like, well, maybe art therapy. And I was like, I don't want to go through more schooling.
Yeah.
And then somehow it's worked out.
Here we are.
And here we are, yes.
Here, Trellis.
Yeah.
A few years later. So you went up to upstate New York.
Yes, that was the turning point.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's what I read.
Yes.
What happened?
So I stayed in Bloomsburg for like a year or two after I graduated. Just like not doing much with my life. And I got to a point where I was like, I need to change everything. I need to just like start over. Like I just kind of hit a wall. And so there's this place called Omega Institute, which is in Rhinebeck, New York. And so Omega is like a wellness retreat center, but they do like a live work program. So you can go and live there, or you work for free basically, but you live and get fed. But it ended up being so epic because it has its like whole own like the staff just has this whole own culture. It's like basically like hippie summer camp for adults. Is how I would describe it. Because you're allowed to take, so at Omega, it's like on 200 acres, there's a lake with like canoes and there's woods. And the first year I camped, I was in a tent I was supposed to be there for 10 weeks and I ended up being there for 5 months.
Camping.
Yeah. But you get fed, you're fed. I lived in a tent, but
I mean, that's still, that's rad.
Oh yeah, it was great. Yeah, I lived in a lot of weird situations.
Okay.
And so, but then you can take all their classes. They have yoga, meditation, and dance classes every day. And then there's even more classes because just depending on what workshops are going on that week or weekend, you can take some of those. And then also the staff teaches each other classes. And then we also like have our whole own, like we put on dances, we put on like Olympics for ourselves. We did our own Burning Man. Like, it's just rad. It's amazing humans. And it's cool because it's like, and it's fluctuating because you could either stay for as little as 3 weeks and then up to 6 months because it's just seasonal because it gets too cold. And so, yeah, you just meet like really cool humans cycling through, and usually they're like just like down for whatever to like dive deep and to just like play. And it's just like so nice being in a container like that because it's like
it really allows you to develop yourself or kind of get a sense for yourself.
Exactly. And they had like an art hut and like really rad teachers and whatnot would come through, and then other weeks it would be pretty heavy because it was like some people are coming because it's like their last resort of like they are coming for some type of workshop that's like, you know, it's all healing in some way. Or,
what do you mean? I don't.
So like the workshops that would come through would be anything from yoga to music to art to writing to meditation, but then there would be like you know, they had like the Lyme disease convention there, or like if you've had certain trauma, or if you're going through like, they had like things for like divorce, or like, you know, if you've had cancer in your sport group, and like, you know, they even had like a healer there that like a bunch of like kind of sick people would come to see, or so yeah, it was interesting.
That's like, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
it's,
exactly.
And also kind of like maybe grounds what would be kind of just like a full-on hippie Burning Man sort of party. Like,
it's like
more intense.
It
like
just
real life things.
Fluctuates, yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, it could be super heavy, or it could be like the week Bobby McFerrin's there and everyone's just like singing and like, yeah, it's all, yeah. But yeah, and it was kind of cool because you could really feel that like energy shift each week or weekend depending on what was going on. Like there was also one week where it was silent week and everyone was in silence as a retreat. So it was just like, yeah, interesting.
Cool.
Yeah.
And it travels around the landscape of emotions. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So then.
Escape.
So then from there.
So from there, so they only do 6 months. They go from April to October.
You were there for...
I was there for 5 months in 2015. And then I wanted to go back another season, but be full-time. Full-time, you work 40 hours, but you get paid $4 an hour. So, and then I got a trailer in the woods.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, and so then by the end of that next season, or right before that second season in 2016, I went on a month-long road trip cross-country, and one of my stops was Santa Cruz to see a friend that I knew from college, and this was like my first time out to the West Coast, and I was just like I already knew I was a West Coast person, but like to actually then like experience it, I was...
How'd you know you're a West Coast person?
You can just tell. East Coast is different. People don't always realize how like... And I like being bi-coastal. I think that's like a good, I feel balanced out. Like I feel like I'm not, I don't know.
What attributes do you think you have of the East Coast and what do you have from the West Coast?
I don't know if I have that many attributes from the East Coast,
Okay.
but I know how the East Coast
What do you like
operates.
from it?
What do I like from it?
Yeah, what do you like that's like different than the West Coast? Because I know it. West Coast is great. I know all about it.
I feel like the East Coast, there's I guess it's not necessarily like what I like about the East Coast. I think it's more of that like, the East Coast is great, don't get me wrong. But there's definitely a different vibe to it. And I think that West Coast can be a little jaded about how, they're about how sunny and lovely West Coast is.
Yep.
And it's like, it's like I know both worlds,
Yeah.
so I feel like I am a little more well-rounded. It's like, I had to wake up at 7 and scrape my car, the ice off my car before going to work and drive through snow and like
Black ice. And
yeah, and like gray weather forever and
haven't seen
like
the sun in months.
1 degrees out and my heat in my apartment doesn't work and like no one's smiling at anyone and everyone's like go 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 go, very like, especially like, Pittsburgh is very like blue collar, like steel worker, kind of like chip on my shoulder situation. So
cool. And it balances you out.
yeah, I feel like I've got an appreciation for both.
Yeah. So you're going around, ended up in Santa Cruz. You liked it.
Yeah.
You knew that felt good.
I knew it felt good, and so when the Omega season ended, 5 of us were like, well, what are we gonna do now? We're like, let's go to California. And we were like, we could sit here and research all the places of where we should land, but we're not gonna know until we get there.
Yeah, it's so far.
Yeah, and it's just like you don't really get a full idea of a place just by like
Google.
Yeah, exactly.
Yelp reviews.
So yeah, and so we knew a couple people that had either lived there or currently lived there, and so we're like, let's go to Santa Cruz. And so we like hop in our cars and we pick everyone up along the way. And so I moved here in November of 2016, and we got here, and we were all wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, like, yeah, we get housing. And then it took us 3 months to get housing. We camped for 3 months in the winter of 2016 when finally California came out of a drought and it decided to rain the whole time. And all
That's
those
exactly
mudslides.
when I got here.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, we have the same Santa Cruz birthday?
Yes, I got here January 6th. And,
Oh, nice.
And yes, it was raining. I couldn't get housing for 6 months.
Yeah.
Started in the garage.
Nice,
and
nice.
then was living up at campus in my buddy's dorm room floor.
Cool. Very familiar with this lifestyle. Yeah, we would
But
be.
it was raining.
It was raining.
All I had was a motorcycle. So I was like,
Yeah,
trying to get around.
we had 2 cars. We had 5 of us. So we were living out of our car at this little campsite that's like tucked back before Pogo Nip.
Mm-hmm.
All in one tent. It was great. It was just like,
That's what happened.
yeah, that's what happened. And then the campsite closed because it was like starting to become a liability issue because like the trees were falling and things. And so we like did the motel thing for a couple weeks, trying to like not let them know that there's 5 of us in a motel room. And
Yeah, when you only said there was 1 or 2.
yeah, and then finally we found a home.
You still with those people?
No, they all moved away now 3 years ago. I'm the last one. But it was my idea originally, so I feel like... so I'm the only one that's still here.
Okay.
I survived.
You survived.
I survived.
And now you're living in the tannery.
And now I'm living in the tannery, which was like this little heavenly golden nugget that I stumbled upon.
It's hard to get in there.
Oh, and I like snuck through the back.
Yeah.
Because when we first moved here, we heard about it. And some of the other people that I was living with were also artists, and we're like, ooh, tannery. So their wait list was open, which the wait list isn't always open. Put our names on the wait list. We were like, I don't know, 90th on the wait list. And like a year and a half later, we call back and we're like 70th on the wait list. And so we're like, well, this is going to take like a really long time.
Yeah.
And so then in 2019, beginning of 2019, and by that point there had been a couple of them had left. We had new people in our housing because we had like 4 people in a 2-bedroom. Lived above the tea house spa next to the Catalyst. That was an interesting experience. And yeah, and then all of a sudden the rest of them were going to move, and I was like, oh, this situation again, like finding housing. And because I was sharing a room, I was like, well, my rent's going to double. Like my whole little support system is moving away. And I was like, so I like was kind of spiraling. I'm just like, I'm gonna have, and at this time I was like working kind of like part-time and doing art part-time. And I was like, well, this is gonna, like, I don't want to work full-time because then my art's gonna suffer. And yeah, I was just like, ugh. But then through Santa Cruz wanting to help me, a friend heard about it, and they lived in the tannery, and their neighbor needed a roommate. And so I was able to just move in with her and bypass, like, I mean, I still kind of had to do like a little bit of an interview, but I got to bypass the waiting list.
Yeah. So the tannery for people out there is just like subsidized artist housing.
Yes. So it's rent controlled based on what you make, which makes it possible for me to be a full-time artist here.
Yeah. So you are a full-time artist.
I am now. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
How long has that been?
It's kind of hard to say
It
because
is.
the whole pandemic situation happened and there was like some unemployment for a little bit. But I would say, I think I started that journey like without any like little side job, maybe like 2 years ago, even though there was like a chunk where, yeah, I get it. But yeah, it's definitely a trust fall of a lifestyle because I usually don't know what's going to be on my plate for the next month.
So what, I mean, is it people mostly buying pieces, murals? What is kind of...
Murals is more of what I make my money off of. Yeah, and then usually that chunk can kind of help me live for a bit doing other...
Yeah.
I try not to question it too much because I feel like as soon as I start questioning it, it's just going to like crumble
wow,
away.
Shit, like,
Yeah, like, wait, how is this working?
Yeah.
I'm actually not sure.
Just let it happen.
Yeah, I'm just gonna like let it do its thing and I'll just trust in it. But yeah, it's definitely, it's a, it ebbs and it flows for sure. And it kind of just seems to like, I don't know, it kind of just seems to work out. And I think it's because, don't say
I'll stop
anything.
it.
I'm not supposed to talk about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think because I believe in it, that's the only reason I think it's working, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you're also selling pieces though. Let's talk about those a little bit.
Yeah. So I make paintings, which usually involve a living plant in them.
Okay. Kind of going off of, I need some water too.
Yeah.
Going off
Hydrate.
of kind of what we were talking about in the Amazon. So everything is based off of some plant. And when did you start doing that? Did you always just like kind of always want to draw plants?
I've always been inspired by nature, and then I've always wanted to include them somehow in my paintings. Wasn't really sure how to do that. And then in 2018, maybe, I joined the Fab Lab, which is right next door.
What is the Fab Lab?
The Fab Lab, the fabulous labulous.
Right.
The dreams are born. That's not really their tagline, but that's what I like to
It's a
say.
long title.
Yeah. So the Fab Lab, fabrication laboratory. Maybe. So it's a maker space. Basically, you get a membership, and then you can use their whole wood shop. They have a CNC router, like ShopBot. They have 3D printers. They have laser cutters, which is what I make a lot of my stuff with. And yeah, other types of tools and whatnot. So yeah, you get a membership and you can use their tools. And so then I started using the laser cutter, which opened up like, oh, if I cut into this wood, I can put a shelf. And if I have a shelf, I can put a plant. And then it just has expanded and expanded and expanded since then. And then actually, Jordan Lehman, who is the owner of the Fab Lab, who actually moved here a couple months after I did, he is also part of the space. So we've become good friends.
How so? So when you say part of this space?
So there is 7 of us that inhabit this. And so basically this used to be the art cave, which was run by Dana Peters and Lee Erickson, and it was a gallery in their studio space. It was like a white wall gallery. Come 2020, they're like, we're getting kind of burnt out. We want to bring on more people as well, just because like we have this huge space now. So they started in a smaller one over there. And so yeah, beginning of 2020, 4 of us joined on, me and Jordan being 2 of those. And we built these walls. They were together and they were here. So they were more sectioned little studio spaces. And it was still a gallery. Pandemic hits, and like then we're like, what the hell do we do with this space? Like, we can't have people in it. We tried like the online thing, and I was not jazzed about that whatsoever. And no one was coming in, and so me and Jordan were like, well, we want somewhere else to go other than our house right now. So we were coming in and using it just as a living room. So then we started making it cozy. And then it was
Which it is.
Yeah.
It's a very large space. It's very cozy.
And it's been through like so many variations of this. A big change was we cut this wall in half and we put them on casters so we're able to move them around. So we've been able to change up the space like that. And there wasn't any second floor at this point either. And so
you built the second floor.
I can't say that I built the second floor, but the members built it. So anyway, me and Jordan are the only ones left from that original little crew. And me and Jordan had a slightly different vision of the space than a white wall gallery. I wanted to do more installation and experience-driven stuff, same with Jordan. And so the girls, actually, the 2 founders, they both got pregnant, adorable because they're best friends. They both got pregnant, and so they had other babies to focus on. And so this became me and Jordan's baby, which he's like my art husband. And then, and our friend, or Jordan had friend Andrew moved to here from Chico, and he was a DJ. And we're like, yo, come hang out with us in this spot. We don't know what we're doing at all, but like, come just like hang out. And then he mentioned that he wanted to do a live stream, and so he joined the space. The others kind of fell off, and then we got new people in, and they were more DJs. And so, yeah, he wanted to do the live stream, and I was like, well, I'll make a backdrop for you. I'll have to show you a picture of our first one. It was much different than this whole space. And then slowly the other members joined. And it was nice because originally we were all visual artists in the space. And now we have like an array of what people can do. So, you know, like JR built this second floor for us in a week.
Wow.
So now we have a loft. And so we have sound people and DJs, and they're all, you know, super tuned into like these speakers and you get to do this, blah, blah, blah. And we've got, Jordan does all the lighting and LEDs and like these crazy lamps, and he also does sound and video. And then like Stack and Jackson are doing more they are more like instrumental, and Stack is just like super type A, like can basically just, yeah, powerhouse. And then her and Amber and JR also weld, and so they've been welding, and then they decided to make this crazy projection mapping situation. And a bunch of them are burners too, so they've been making art cars and like big installation art for years, and that's like what they kind of want to cultivate. And yeah, it just keeps expanding and expanding. Then all of a sudden it's become bigger and bigger, and yeah, we're still like kind of figuring out what we are.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. It's like, there's a lot of things.
There's a lot of things, and like what we want to do is we want to create experiences. Like right now, we've been doing the live streams, and for the live streams, we've been inviting in people to be a part of it for the night, and we want it to be visually lovely and something that, is not just like going to a club and seeing a band or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's giving it another little element to it, but we want to take it even further from there. We're not exactly sure yet how, but we want to make it more experience-based. So you would come in, and like the way that you interact with the space would change certain parts of the experience. We want it to have almost like there'd be like a storyline where like maybe upstairs is a whole different scene and whatnot, and like you're getting pieces of the story up there, and there's things you can interact with. And then you come down here, and then back there's like a weird little something, and like we really want people to start interacting with each other too. So it's like, because you come to these things and you kind of stay in your pods and whatever, but like, so we want to encourage like, we want to make it an experience. Like you leave and you're like, oh man, like that was actually
something.
That was something different.
Yeah.
And so before, when this was still the art cave and the Fab Lab, we used to collaborate and do a party where we had like Jordan made these little chips, because he does programming too, that everyone got when they came in, and that would interact with an art piece. So we want to build off of that kind of situation. So we're not sure yet how to do it.
Not yet.
But we're getting closer.
Happen. Yes.
Yeah, and like Stack, one of the members, like she's a literary major, so like we're like, she was like talking about like, coming up with a script and like having like roaming characters and like.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So how many people are totally like?
There's 7 of us.
Oh.
And actually
I didn't know if you were gonna have a clean number for that.
Yeah, so 7 of us pay for this spot. So I know the number.
Right.
And we are in the works of getting an 8th, because we have a spot that's going to open.
You have another spot that's going to open?
Yeah, so we have a spot, we have an 8th spot, and that's like kind of what we're starting to go
a
through.
spot for, yes.
Oh yeah, no,
Like,
this is enough.
I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, we're opening another one, even though we don't have any idea what we're doing here.
Yeah, take up the whole room.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's been fun because it's been our playground basically, our creative playground. Like it's kind of, and it's great. All the tools next door, and all the things that I don't have the skills for, one of them probably do. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, how can we make this?
That's cool. You don't need to keep the tools here. You can have that whole.
They're all over there.
Yeah.
And so we start bringing them over here, and Jordan's like, okay, well, you guys actually need to return these.
Yeah.
We have a lot of the Fab Lab stuff in here.
So what does this place mean to you? When did you kind of get the idea for it? I'm sure it was all your guys' idea, but.
So.
Why did you? Because you never really. You do performance. You dance. Mm-hmm. You're a great dancer.
Thank
you. So when did you decide you wanted to do like performance and getting people into shows?
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of like organically came to be. I think because when I joined the art cave, what this originally was, in the White Wall Gallery, I just like wanted. I don't know. I wanted something. It wasn't feeding me enough. I wanted more experiential situation. And I had loved performing, but I didn't really know how to, and I'm still figuring out how to integrate that in. But I just wanted to make just big art, basically. Yeah. I just wanted to be able to paint the walls and like cut out giant heads and like,
the things that everybody wants to do.
Yeah. I was like, the people want this. Someone's got to fulfill it. So, yeah, I just wanted something different, something that, like, I felt wasn't being offered yet in Santa Cruz.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Have you been seeing stuff with Indexical and all that good stuff?
You know what? I know of them, but I haven't actually gone to their...
Have you?
Yeah.
We should go.
Yeah, no, they're like right near the tannery.
Yeah, it's in the tandem.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's right there.
It's downstairs.
It's like, yeah, like I can pass it. But yes.
It's they do experimental music and art and all that stuff, and it looks crazy, and I'm super.
I've heard such good things.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna go.
Yeah,
we're gonna go. We're gonna tell them about this space.
Kinda gotta figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like another cool thing about this space is we're trying to figure out, okay, how can we like bring in different creative humans of Santa Cruz and like give them a platform to do their weird stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many people doing weird things.
There's so many people doing weird things. And it's like,
no end to it.
yeah, like let's all look at each other's weird things. And yeah, so it's kind of just like figuring out. Speaking of weird things, Sarah Burns is right around the corner from here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I like kind of knew that, but so her stuff is still in there.
Yeah, she's like literally boop, around the corner. I don't know how much is still in here because I know she was working from home a lot.
Yeah, she's working from home.
But
she probably has some stuff in
yeah, she still does some stuff. Yeah, right around the corner.
Yeah.
With
she's so rad.
She's so rad. And after listening to her podcast, I was like, Sarah, we need to talk about the whole sustainability, like leaving society situation.
Exactly. Yeah, she just really wants to do
I
it.
know.
She's just like, I just remember like showing me her little tomato sprouts growing. She's like, this is it. Like,
This is all I need now.
This is life now. Like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Her show is in April. Or start of April.
Oh, cool.
They're opening in LA. I really want to go to that.
Yep, another field trip.
Yeah.
Okay, we write this on the chalkboard.
Yeah. You're like, fuck, we need a chalkboard.
We got that whole chalkboard!
Oh, shit. Didn't even notice that.
Oh, yeah.
John's over there like, you didn't see the chalkboard, dude?
It's okay, nothing. Well, we have puppet show written on it. That's about it. That's on our to-do list.
Great.
Yeah.
Puppet show, LA, and April. Where did human-shaped animal come from?
So in, let's see, probably 2013 or 2012, I was sitting in sociology class in college, and my professor just said it in a sentence. He's just like, we're all human-shaped animals. And I was just like, what? And it just like struck me. And then, yeah, like the next year, I was like making jewelry. I like started like a little jewelry line for a small period of time. And I was like, oh, I need a name for it. And I was like, oh, human-shaped animal. And then, I like Googled it and nothing came up. The only thing that comes up is like a weird monkey that kind of looks like a human. Like, that's about it.
Us.
Yeah, that's us. And yeah, and then I just started adopting it for everything that I do. Especially because like I don't totally identify with being Rachel Barnes. It just doesn't. There's actually a lot of Rachel Barneses. If you type Rachel Barnes in the Facebook, you can like scroll forever. There's a whole army of us. And so like I was like, like as an artist, it just didn't, and like signing Rachel Barnes didn't feel, I don't know. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'll just be human-shaped animal.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was talking about doing this interview, people were like, yeah, human-shaped animal. Like, oh, her name's Rachel. Oh, okay.
I know, I kind of like encourage it. I was like, if you ever reference it, I was like, reference human-shaped animal, because unfortunately nothing is under Rachel Barnes. So if you search Rachel Barnes, it will, I just think it's
so cool. It's like, it is a name that definitely sticks in your head.
It just feels right.
Because then you think about it and you're like, yeah.
Yeah, that's like what we are.
Yeah.
And then like I have, I like adopted a little like symbols for HSA, so then I'll just like that onto things.
You adopted those?
Human-shaped animal.
Oh, right.
Mm-hmm.
I can see letters.
Yeah. So then I'll just like put that on things too, instead of like writing out the whole thing. So it's nice to just
I feel like that's a lot of words.
Yeah, that is a lot of words. But yeah, it felt right to like give it its whole own persona, I guess. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it feels weird attaching my name to stuff. Like people, even with Breaking North, they're like, what's your rocking? I'm like, it's just Breaking North, but it's, it's not sticking, that's fine. Sometimes things stick and sometimes
Oh, you don't want it to stick? Or you're not feeling like it's sticking?
I don't know.
Would you change it?
I don't know. Nothing's popped in my head. I was just like, when I got the idea for the podcast, I was just journaling, and I was like, okay, just gonna fill something in. I was like, no.
You're like, yeah, that feels
I mean, I
right
have
for
an
now.
idea for it.
Yeah.
It's the idea of just not trying to go straight up and think more laterally rather than just like pigeonholing yourself,
Yes.
which is exactly what I was doing.
Nice.
Trying not to just like drums or bust, you know. I'm like, I kind of want to think of other things. And,
Oh yeah.
I just want to talk to people.
Yeah. Well, you seem to be doing a good job at it.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
I've been enjoying it.
Yeah. What's it like working in a public space with murals? Like, because because people will just watch you. Right?
Yes. Yeah. I've gotten really good at just putting giant headphones on and like ignoring everyone.
Yeah.
That's kind of my MO of life in general.
All right.
But no, actually, it's really sweet. People are usually really kind about it and like really encouraging and thankful. They're always like, they just like thank you and just, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get some weird people. I had, a man on the street once. He really wanted me to paint his face with acrylic paint while I was painting a mural, so I did that, and he wanted it on his lips and his ears, and I was like, all right, I guess this is what I'm doing today.
The person commissioning is just like looking over like, all right.
No, he was like licking it off his lips and stuff. I was like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore.
Can start rocking with headphones.
But yeah,
I'm
it's
sure
really...
kids enjoy
Yeah, exactly.
going off to a less weird story. that's kind of rad. I've never seen fucking.
So yeah, it's an interesting experience. Sometimes you get people like, oh, this person can't leave this wall, so I'm going to talk their ear off. And it's just like, okay.
I was looking for somebody that wasn't going to leave.
Yeah, they're stuck there. So, but yeah, for the most part, it's really sweet, and it's.
Because I imagine that's like almost another aspect to doing art is like a lot of people, it's very about them being by themselves or
it's a weird
it's like being
change
an artist and somebody who's okay just kind of being out there to some extent.
Yeah, it's like almost like borderline like performance art. You're like, okay, I'm on display. And another thing that you have to be like that feels very vulnerable about it is like, when you're working on something, you're like, it's not done yet, don't look at it. Like, don't look, it's gonna be better. Like, this is like the really rough version of it, and you just have to be okay with just like, all right, this is on display for everyone to see, and it's not done, and I really hate that part over there, but like...
Yeah, and you don't want to look back at somebody being like...
Yeah, like when I did this mural, it was the first one I did in Santa Cruz, really my first mural, on river and water. I always get... There's like river, water, and ocean all around that area, and I'm like, which liquid? But river and water, and I like did this giant face on it, and oh my god, it changed like 15 times. First, she was like really, and the girl was a Santa Cruz local, so I was like, okay, like she's gonna see this.
This is on the back of the salon.
Yeah,
right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The salon has changed now. It used to be mandala, and now it's. Something with a C.
Now it's not.
And so the girl actually worked at Mandala. And I was like, at first she looked really fat, and then she looked really old, and then she looked really young, and it finally made its way around, but like the whole time I'm just like, no one look at it, like,
Yeah.
So yeah, there is that aspect of it that's just a little uncomfortable at times, but.
Yeah. Do you generally enjoy it though?
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, you mean the outcome or the process?
Yes.
Me and my work husband Jordan talk about this. There's this whole arc of emotions that go into a project, and at some point you just really hate it, and it's just like, this sucks. Everything's going wrong. Like I put all this time in it, and now I need to like back up and erase this spot that I just like spent 2 days working on. And even that, like, I secretly love. Like, I love the whole arc of emotions that go into it, and it's like, or it's like the very end, you're like, all right, I don't want to look at this for like 2 weeks, and it's disgusting. And then you come back and you're like, oh yeah, it's not that bad. Okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah, you're too close.
Yeah, you gotta take a step back. So yeah, it's great. I love it. And working big is just like,
What's your
because you just
favorite?
put like music on, and you just kind of dance around, and it's
Out in the sun, maybe.
yeah, in the
presumably.
sun. Yeah, it's great, and it's like super rad working with people who's like they have a vision, and or like especially a lot of like the either small businesses where it's like this is our dream, like we've got this vision for this space. We like they're working super hard to like make it a thing, and then like you get to like
And
come
to
on,
fund it, and they
yeah,
like it, so.
and like they're just like stoked on it, and then you get to come in and like help them with their vision, and it's just like really sweet and like getting to know them, and it's just like, oh,
Yeah.
thanks for trusting me, guys. Like it's fun. It's
And you usually get
rewarding.
commissioned by like small businesses or city
Yes,
or.
mostly.
'Cause that's how you did Moe's.
I did Moe's, yeah.
Yeah,
That was
with
sponsored by Kind People. Yeah, and like I've done some.
Side note off that.
Yes.
I think it's so interesting that a bar that sells alcohol has just weed
Yeah.
things plastered all over it.
Yeah, that was the trade-off.
I love your art there, by the way.
It was.
But I always thought that was funny.
It was also a weird experience for me.
Yeah.
I could be like, just painting some weed leaves.
Yeah.
like I'm like a high schooler or
Yeah,
something.
you're like, this is exactly what people think. I'm kidding.
Like if only I could have told mom and dad that when I got caught smoking weed in high school. Like this will pay the bills one day. Like you just wait and see.
It's just gotta do my whole life art first.
But yeah, so that was kind of like a weird like just paint weed leaves. Yeah, what were we talking about?
Commissions, the small business.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I've got a couple in my pocket right now. I just did ones for 11th Hours downtown, or West Side location.
Mm-hmm.
They're super, like, brothers, I don't know if you
really
know them or
like
not.
them.
Oh, yeah, they're great. Like, and they've thought everything through. It's just, like, so.
Really good business model.
Yeah. And then The Hook in Watsonville, which they did this whole, like, cool, like, arcade-themed situation. And now I'm working with another dispensary in Aptos, Santa Cruz Naturals, and then also working on one for Bookshop Santa Cruz downtown.
Oh, dope.
Which feels wholesome. And,
You're all over the place.
just snail trailing all like
Yeah. Get around. They're unionized. Did you hear about that?
I did.
I think that's cool.
Yeah, I think it's in the works, so I think it's a little messy at the moment.
I'm sure it's hard.
Oh yeah.
Or else everybody would do it.
Any transition, I feel like is like
Yeah, especially with a whole business like that.
yeah.
Yeah, books are hard to sell right now, I believe. Talked about like the plans you're doing, expansions, we kind of have that all going. Let me just get to it. What do you consider a success for yourself?
Oh. Success for myself. I feel like I'm starting to change that. I feel like before it was okay, keep myself alive with art. Now I feel like I want to take it another level and be like, okay, I want to be a little more stable with it. Like just have it more.
You mean like know that you will have an income from it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. But success really for me is, I think, continual growth with it. Like just keep pushing it to like what more can I do with this? And like, especially having access to the tools and to the space and to the humans that are in the space. Like, I feel like there's so much to make. Like, there's so much. And I feel like I've just like scratched the surface of it. And then on top of that, success.
It's a big word, you know?
It is a really big word. But also like such a small word too.
Such a small word as well.
But basically, I just want to do whatever I want all the time.
Whenever.
Whenever.
Total
whatever.
pleasure, whenever.
That is success. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just go with that.
We'll just go with that.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So, kind of, I guess, would you have anything that you kind of want to say to yourself back when you were living on Mars?
Oh, when I was in Mars, yeah.
Just as a younger person.
I would say it's possible. Like, I remember like having this like real moment of just like dread because I was like, I'm just gonna have to go to college and then get married and then be a soccer mom and just like be an art teacher and just like live in a little house and just go through the motions, because that feels very East Coast to me. And I feel like there's a little bit more this parameters that people are living in, and it's not so Santa Cruz.
Yeah. You don't have like every single option.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is also rough sometimes.
Exactly.
So you have
decision making is so yeah, I think just being like, yo, reality is way more malleable than you may think it is, and just like just dream big and see what happens. Yeah.
That's cool. So let's talk about this space a little bit. I saw that you guys, and you were talking about it, doing Twitch live streams.
Twitch, yes. Twitch. Yeah, so we are doing the live stream thing.
I love that, and I've been doing that a little bit with some other people. Like mostly testing it out, because as you know, there's a lot more to it than you would like originally think.
Yeah, that's all of Jordan's like nightmare of just like, we have 4 cameras, and oh wait, what about the audio, and how does this stream into this, and like, oh, it's recording it, and like just so
and now we're on the internet.
And now we're on the internet.
And then it always goes the internet and all that.
Yeah, like, so, and that's why we started with Twitch, is because we couldn't do in-person anything.
Yeah, but I saw you did like 7 days ago.
What's that?
Did you do a stream just recently?
Oh, yeah. So we are continuing doing it, but now we have humans in here.
Oh, so it looks a little better.
Yeah, now it's like, now it's becoming like an event.
Rather than people just in quarantine, like...
Yeah.
Kind of like
yeah. So, yeah, it's just like another platform to get stuff out there, and it's nice for our DJs to have the streams and whatnot.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to, I don't know, see where that goes. I mean, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, you can have like cameras down here and then like up there.
Oh yeah, we do. We put one up there on that little thing, and we put one right here, and then we have one right there, and then we have one that's like up on the DJ area that does a little fisheye thing.
Do you have any events coming up at all that are?
No. So we just did we just redid the space and had an event on the 12th. And then we probably won't redo the space for another like 3 months or so. And it's actually nice. This one was kind of funded by the city because you can get grants. I don't know if you've ever looked into the Art Council grants. You should if you have not.
I don't even know what I would do with it.
You would do anything.
Yeah.
You could do stuff for your podcast for it. You can be like, yo, I need to get new equipment, because like their big thing is like, how will this impact the community?
Oh.
You got that one down.
I do interview a lot of people in the community.
Exactly. And like basically you can, before they had it broken down between development and creative grant, is either like you had a specific project in mind, or you just need like new gear, or you want to take a class, or blah, blah, blah. So put your name in the hat. They do it twice a year, and they give out like 20 to 30 of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I know what I'm doing later.
There you go. I think it just opened actually.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So yeah.
I'm trying to remember what we were talking about.
Our council helped fund this situation.
Yeah. So you're talking about like 3 months or so.
Yeah.
I mean, but you have so much to do here now. You can do things.
Yeah. So we'll probably do a live stream once a month, and then change up the whole situation in like 3 months or so, and then hopefully for that one we'll start doing the more like experimental experience.
Yeah. Kind of need to figure out what it's going to be.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
And it's only by doing it.
Yeah, exactly. And just like, things take a long time.
They do.
They always take way longer than you expect. You're like, oh yeah, I could do that like in a couple hours. And it's like 2 weeks later, like I'm still working on this one thing.
I think especially like as an artist too, it's like I'm pretty set and feeling okay that I can deliver on a drum part or record for somebody. And then I still have that mentality when I try to do something different.
Yeah.
Like where I think I could just deliver because I'm like, oh, I do this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nope, it's taking me a really, really long
Yep,
time.
I got to figure it out first.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of trial and error.
So I guess one of the last things, you're going to the Mojave again. What do you do out there? It looks so cool.
I dig in the dirt in the sun.
Yeah.
Yep, it's the best.
Yeah.
So when I was in the Amazon, it like hit me that I needed to learn how to natural build things from the earth. And that I wanted to build my own house one day, but I was not a carpenter or have any skills. So
Let's start.
yeah. So the way around that is to build it with the earth. And yeah, so I was in the Amazon, and it just like hit me that I wanted to learn natural building, and it just made sense too as a natural progression of my art. It's like, okay, I'm already including plants in my art, and then I'm really into like creating environments with murals and installations, and I'm like, oh well, the next step, make an actual environment out of actual natural materials. And yeah, so while I was there, I went down the rabbit hole of what was out there for natural buildings. I never really thought about it. And I found the Mojave Center, and I found this place called Rancho Mastatal, which is in Costa Rica. And I was like, I'm going to do those two things. And yeah, Mojave Center, I didn't think I was going to get there as soon as I would. I returned from the Amazon in July, and I went to the Mojave Center in September. When I returned from the Amazon, I was really sad for a really long time. I was like, I felt like I was just plucked out of this weird parallel life that I was living and dropped back down in America, and it was just like,
this is so...
I was like, I just hate everything. I just like, and I felt like my whole nervous system like wasn't like recalibrating to this world, and I just like went in the woods, and I was like, it's so dry. And I was just like, where the ants are eating, like nothing is colorful. It's like, yeah, especially because like I was dropped back into like my 3rd story apartment, and I wasn't waking up like in the jungle, and I was just like so sad. But then I went to the Mojave Center, and like, woo, re-sparked me, and I was like, okay, it's not so bad here. But so anyways, the Mojave Center is in the Mojave Desert, and they're teaching how to do super adobe, which are these cute little domes. Well, we did cute little domes. They could be bigger, but like you can build one in a week with all the humans. And yeah,
the material is just like the ground.
We literally just dig holes, and we mix it with a little bit of cement, and we stuff these bags, and we like start the whole process. And it's pretty like simple in terms of how to do it.
Dig dirt,
and stack. And yeah, it was like super nourishing, and just like there's been a part of me that has like yearns for just to like, I just wish that I grew up in a tribe somewhere out of society and just in nature, and that was my life. I will be very happy in that lifestyle. So I'm kind of realizing I need both this world and that world. And so I eventually want to make my way to more of a sustainable community and live in community, especially after being at like Omega, where living in community was just like, it's just like so nice waking up and like everyone's there and you don't have to make plans. And it's just like, it's just,
you like do stuff together.
Yeah. And it's just
like texting me like, what are you doing?
Yeah, you're not just like so secluded. And like also being in Brazil, like I just realized how like the United States was just so individually goal oriented, and it like was missing all the, I don't know, Brazil it's just like, it was so family, and so like there wasn't any distractions. Like in the property that I was on, everything was open too. The only enclosed areas was the room, your actual like bedroom. Otherwise, all the areas were just like open to nature, and like so everyone was always hanging out with everyone, and they were just like, I don't know. And if any business that they did, they actually had the people come over for dinner, and then they'd stay the night, and like it was like so just like nurturing. And then there's this whole element of like the natural building, like being in a structure that is like made out of nature. Humans have like actually like put in the energy and the intention and like mindfulness of creating, and then also it being like not a square is like there's something really juicy about that to me.
Yeah, I've heard about this like roundness.
Yeah,
it's like from womb to
exactly.
other things, and that's like how most buildings work back.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's just like I think we are kind of getting to a tipping point where we're starting to like go back to the basics a bit. And actually, so one thing that like, it's kind of like the human shaped animal thing. Like when it hits you, it's like, oh yeah, I'm grasping onto those words. I tattooed womb tomb on me because when we were figuring out a name for this place, womb tomb hit me, and it didn't quite fit for this, but I was like, oh, I'm gonna take that. So it's just like this, like, I just love the idea of like birth and death being the same thing. And then that container of like the womb and the tomb, and it's like womb tomb. Yeah. And then like after building these like little structures, it's like, oh, I'm gonna make womb tombs. That's gonna be my like
stackable womb tombs.
Yep, those are my little huts that I'm gonna create.
Wow.
And then make those into art installations, and like have those be like all like pop up, like, and then have like, you know, artists come, or like make it so like musicians come and create in them. Just have these like little sanctuaries. But anyway, so I'm returning to the Mojave Center because I went there and volunteered, fell in love with them so hard. The people are amazing. They had just started like that. They weren't even, I think it was a year in October that they had bought the land, and then they didn't themselves learn how to start doing the Super Adobe until that January, and then we're teaching it by the fall. And yeah, and it's all sustainable. Everything's run by solar power, and it's just like,
that's incredible.
Yeah, and it's super cool. And then I got so jazzed because then I saw that they also are doing this project in Colombia, where they are working with indigenous groups, and they're doing like helping. They either do like a natural building element to it. They also do like this whole excursion through the jungle, and they're doing like tree planting and like agroforestry and whatnot. And so I was like, when I met them, I was like, I found my desert jungle people, because like I feel like I'm split in half. I feel like I have this like extreme love for the jungle and then this extreme love for the desert, but they're so different. And I think I love like contradicting, complementing situations. And then so when I learned that they were doing stuff in the jungle or in the desert, and then that they were also looking for property in the jungle eventually, which I think is actually going to happen quicker than I thought it was, to do natural building there as well. Because that's my goal. My goal is to live part-time in jungle, part-time in desert. And so I did that this year, and actually it's working out. I'm actually going to live in Costa Rica for 2 months in August and September and do a sustainability internship where I live on this farm situation, and they teach you natural building, they teach you all this permaculture and agroforestry, a bunch of homesteading stuff, like how to make flowers out of like the local whatever, and like herbal stuff and soaps, and yeah, because I really want to get back to like those basics. I'm not very good at like just reading about them and like implementing them in my life. I'm a very hands-on person, so like I actually need to like be like
in there. Yeah,
I need to be in there, and that's the only way I'm going to learn it.
I feel the same way.
Yeah,
it's hard when you're around just walls.
Oh yeah, and it's like I adapt so quickly. It's like, you know, I'll probably go to the Mojave Center and I'll be like, oh, I want to be here forever. I never want to go back to Santa Cruz. And then I come back to Santa Cruz and I'm like, oh, that's really nice. Like, I don't actually really feel like I'm in the desert anymore. Yeah. Like, so, but
I get it.
Yep.
It's even just for me. It's just like sometimes I'm like, I feel okay just like being at the house right now, and I can be here, and then I'm outside. I'm like, fuck, why was I in the house all morning?
Oh my god, yeah, story of my life.
Yeah.
And that's why I need to build a life where I'm so intermingled with nature, because I am not great at like getting myself out into it sometimes.
Same.
But it's so nourishing to me.
Yeah.
So I just need it to all be just like all intermingled into one.
Yeah. Travel between.
So when I return to the Mojave this season, they do spring and they do fall season. I'm actually going to run their kitchen because I was like, I just want to be a part of this. I'll run the kitchen. I don't know how to cook, so it's going to be really interesting. I'm going there in like a week.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it'll be great. It'll be great.
How many people?
So there'll be probably tops of like 20.
That's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. It's super cute. They have a trailer that they've made into a kitchen. It's like so wholesome. It's like we sit by the fire at night. We go to the hot springs. It's like
Oh man, that sounds.
come to the Mojave. It's so great.
That sounds
and like
incredible.
everyone, like as soon as I got there, I was like instantly comfortable. I was like, this is it. It's like we all like take turns like DJing the music for like that keeps us running throughout the whole day, and like everyone's like just so playful and just like bullshits around the whole time, and yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. And the people that it attracts are really cool people, because then it's like, oh, you've got a really weird lifestyle too? Like, what are the weird places that you go that I should go? And it's like you start being like, oh, well, there's this place in Colorado that they're doing this weird, so you should check it out.
So you're just gonna find another place to go.
Yeah. And like my goal is to I want to be able to either learn natural building or just travel in general through trade of murals. That's like kind of how I want to do it. It's like, okay, I'll paint you whatever you want. Just let me stay here for a little bit and just soak this up. So that's the goal. I'm going to try to get the people at Costa Rica to let me do a mural there, because I want to do a mural on every continent. That's my goal.
Antarctica could really use one.
I know, right?
Bring a little desert to them.
Yeah, a little desert, a little jungle. Yeah.
Who would you like to shout out, if anybody?
Oh, well, my cellist Hamley. We call it.
It's warm.
Yeah, no, I'm addicted to these things. I have a really bad habit of keeping them on though and leaving. So.
We're talking about the heater.
Yeah. So my trellis peoples, which is Jordan and Andrew and Stack and Jackson and Amber and JR. They're great. Yeah, I mean, it's so epic to find like a group of people that are willing to spend all their money and their time on a project that they're like, we just want to make cool shit for people. I'm not really sure what this is going to turn into, but like, let's just build it, and they will come. Hopefully, they're allowed to at some point.
Check this out.
Yeah.
Where are they?
Where they should be here in a minute. But yeah, to them for sure. To my Mojave peeps, I'm really like, seriously, if you're ever interested in going and digging holes in the desert,
I am.
I got a place for you. It's great. They do volunteer weeks too, where you can just show up and so you don't have to actually pay for a workshop.
It sounds worth it.
Yeah, totally is. And
how long are you going out there?
so I'll be out there for like 2 weeks, and I'll come back for 2 weeks, and then I'll go out again for another workshop. I wish I could just stay, but I do have some projects here that I need to not completely abandon.
Yeah, like make.
I gotta make some things. Yeah, I gotta make a living. Sarah Bianco, she's like she's one of my painting sisters. I've done some murals with her. She's a super rad muralist, and she has a house painting business as well, which is really nice when I get into little tight spots. I'm like, hey, Sarah, I'll come help you. So that's helpful. Eva, my roommate, for housing me in the tannery, which we all know is a very golden nugget. Yeah.
You're good.
Okay.
And where can people find you?
You can find me at humanshapedanimal.com, or my Instagram is also humanshapedanimal. They can find me here in Trellis at the old Wrigley building. This little gem on the outskirts of town, west side. They could try to find me in the desert.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck. Or somewhere deep in the jungle.
One of those 3 places, 4 or 5.
Yeah. You got a couple options.
Cool. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
This has been so fun.
Yes, thank you.